Hey, happy Wednesday. Come on in, pull up a chair. The Daily Dope is in the air. Howdy, gang. Yes, I'm Jeff McAleer, back once again as your host here at The Daily Dope, presented by thegaminggang.com, which I happen to be the founder and editor-in-chief. I'm the jack of all trades, I guess we'll say. Anyway, welcome aboard. Tonight is Wargame Wednesday. Yeah, Wargame Wednesday. So that means we're taking a look at Ancient Civilizations of the Inner Sea from GMT Games. We are going to unbox this and take a look at this in just a bit. And William McGinnis is popping in to chat already and saying, hey, I'm interested in this game. Guess what? So am I. Anyway, tonight is Wednesday, August 28th. Tonight is also episode 353 of The Daily Dope. If this is your first time tuning in, this is a very, very casual show. It's a casual stream. It's not rocket surgery, as I like to say. Normally share some tabletop gaming news. Then I do a game unboxing. Maybe I do a review. Sometimes we take a look at some RPGs, page through those, and do reviews of those as well. So, very, very casual, as I mentioned. And it is live, so keep that in mind, because I know some people are like, your videos are way different than other people's videos. And it's like, well, yeah, this is a live show, so it's a little bit different. Do want to mention, because it is live, chat is available on YouTube, as William McGinnis has already proven. I don't have the chat on screen, though, so it's one of the ways that I keep some of the stranger commenters at bay, but I do pay attention to chat. So, if you want to say howdy, or maybe you've got a question, or maybe there's going to be something about Ancient Civilizations of the Inner Sea that you want to get a closer look at, by all means, please chime in and I will respond. Of course, if you like the video, please give it a quick thumbs up. You check out some of the videos on the Gaming Gang channel. By all means, subscribe. And if you do, don't forget, ring that little bell, because it will not only notify you when a new video has been uploaded, it will also tell you when the stream goes live. Usually within about 5 minutes or so. And of course, don't forget, visit thegaminggang.com, my home website, where there's loads of stuff going on. And of course, don't forget, tell a friend. In fact, tell 2 friends. So I see Lead Magnet is popping in. Yes, WGW, Wargame Wednesday. All right, as I mentioned, I've got some news tonight. And I got a good mixture of news, a lot of different stuff. I do understand some people are not fans of the tabletop gaming news segment. It's all right if you're one of those folks and you are watching after the fact. By all means, check out the show notes below and you will see timestamps. You can just simply skip past the tabletop gaming news, jumping right on into the unboxing if you'd like. That said, let's pop into the news, because Letter Jam is on the horizon. It was one of the kind of popular titles that was at Gen Con this year. It will be releasing very, very shortly for Czech Games Edition, and I've got the dope. Letter Jam is a cooperative word game in which players assist each other in composing meaningful words from letters around the table. The trick is holding the letter card so it's only visible to other players and not to yourself. Kind of like Liar's Poker. At the start of the game, each player receives a set of face-down letter cards that can be rearranged to form an existing word. The setup can be prepared by using a special card scanning app or by having players select words for each other. Each player then puts their first card in their stand to face the other players without looking at it, and the game begins. Each turn, players simultaneously search each other players letters to see what words they can spell out, telling the others the length of the word they can make up. The player who offers the longest word can then be chosen as the clue giver. The clue giver! The clue giver spells out their clue by putting numbered tokens in front of the other players. Number 1 goes to the player whose letter comes first in the clue. Number 2 to the second letter, etc. There can always be a wild card too, which can be any letter, but they cannot tell others which letter it represents. Each player with a numbered token or tokens in front of them then tries to figure out what their letter is. If they do, they place a card face down before revealing the next letter. At the end of the game, players can then rearrange the cards to try to form an existing word. All players can then reveal their cards to see whether they were successful. The more players that have an existing word in front of them, the bigger their common success is. Letter Jam is for 2 to 6 players, ages 10 and up, plays around 45 minutes, and it does carry an MSRP, or I should say will carry an MSRP of $19.99 when it arrives in stores in October. So as I had mentioned, this was like a big buzz at Gen Con. It was one of the big buzz games. And I gotta be honest, I don't know why. It's just, I'm not a word kind of game player. Yeah, just like code words. I've played it. I know people just love it. I think it's just fine. You know. But I did want to share the news because a lot of people are curious. When is Letter Jam going to hit stores? Now you know, sometime in October. So we've got Xcelera X1 and John Vogel popping in. Good to see you, John. Good to see you, X1. Got a good chat already starting off. We've got a few people hanging out there. Moving right along to my next news piece. There is a pretty interesting looking science fiction board game. It is arriving very shortly from Pearl Games by way of Asmodee. Here's the dope on Black Angel. Humanity, through its irresponsible behavior, has exhausted the natural resources of Earth. Okay, well, that's kind of is based in reality so far. Making the planet almost uninhabitable. In a burst of lucidity, pressed by the irreversible degradation of your planet, the great nations are forced to put aside their differences and share their knowledge in order to create the most vast spacecraft ever constructed. Thus, the Black Angel project is launched. Kind of a strange name, right? For a spaceship that's supposed to be saving humanity? I don't know. The Black Angel, the first intergalactic frigate in history, must transport the genetic heritage of humanity beyond known worlds over a journey that is likely to last several thousand years. Her crew will be composed of only robots, because no nation is willing to trust creation of the AI that will control this crew to any other nation. A compromise is found. The Black Angel will be co-managed by several AIs, and the utility of each decision will be evaluated in VP, validation process. At the completion of this long and perilous voyage, when a new inhabitable planet has been reached, the AI that has earned the most VP will be entrusted with reawakening humanity and overseeing its new start. All the reports are in agreement. The Black Angel is approaching Spees, a planet with the highest probability for habitability by human species. Take advantage of our approach to maintain the good relations you have gradually woven with the benevolent alien species populating the galaxy, and watch out for the dreaded Ravengers, who would do anything to prevent you from reaching Spees. Black Angel is for 1 to 4 players, ages 12 and up, plays around 1 to 2 hours, and it will carry an MSRP of $79.99. I don't have an exact date when this is arriving in stores. It's coming through Asmodee North America. It's supposed to be available very, very shortly. This looks pretty interesting. William McGinnis says, this game starts with a false conceit. Humanity will have a moment of lucidity. I gotta be honest, I am interested in the whole concept of not necessarily transhumanity, because I'm not into that. Although I think if we were ever to go out and like chart the stars, we would probably have to make some changes to how our beings are actually constructed. But I'm kind of fascinated with this whole thing. So this sounds like a game that might be right up my alley. So it's War Game Wednesday. So how about we talk about some war games? Because Flying Pig Games has launched pre-orders for the first expansion to Old School Tactical Volume 3. And I've got the dope on Hellbent. The Pacific Theater was defined by amphibious landings, beaches, lagoons, and much more. The Hellbent boxed expansion for Old School Tactical Volume 3, Pacific 1942 to 45, say that 5 times fast, brings you that much more with an additional 30-inch by 41-inch mountain map, yet another sheet of counters, and a bunch of scenarios to use them with, all wrapped up in an attractive box. Included are scenarios for Wake Island, Tarawa, Peleliu, Luzon, Saipan, and Okinawa. In fact, I believe altogether there are 13 new scenarios. If you're not familiar with Old School Tactical Volume 3, it brings a popular OST system to the Pacific Theater of World War II. Fight in the jungles and on the beaches against both the Imperial Japanese Army and naval units. Unlike other OST soldiers, the fanatical Japanese have no gut check number, preferring death to dishonor. The Japanese also come with the new tank killer units and, of course, rules for the famous bonsai attacks. The Americans answer with canister rounds for their Stuart tank, the famed Marine firepower and discipline, and plenty of armor and artillery support. You can pre-order Hellbent right now for a discounted price of $40. It is going to carry an MSRP of $45. As far as Old School Tactical Volume 3, Crowbar, I wonder if there's another title that we're waiting for from... Off the top of my head, I don't think there is. But from Flying Pig Games, I have heard that we should see Crowbar and I believe Old School Tactical Volume 3 in the fourth quarter. Supposedly that slow boat from China is supposed to get in on September 24th. That's, I believe, what Mark H. Walker was pointing out. I think it was on Twitter. It's either Twitter or a blog piece, something like that. So we should be seeing that pretty soon. So going back to our previous news story, William McGinnis says, our best hope for humanity is to move to Greenland. I don't know about that. Greenland is not a very, let's say, habitable place. It's a huge country, but very few people actually live there. So William also asks, is this standalone? No, you will need Volume 3. You'll need Old School Tactical Volume 3 to be able to use Hellbent. Next war game piece. Yes, I have 2 war game news pieces tonight. Phalanx Games does have a Kickstarter. It's currently running, and it's to bring the classic Successors back to print in a new edition, and I've got the dope. When Alexander the Great died in 323 BC, he left no clear heir to the immense empire he had conquered. It was not long after his death that the Macedonian generals began to war among themselves over who would be the regent or successor to Alexander's empire. By 305 BC, they had given up on succession and began to carve out their own kingdoms. Successors is a 4-player game based on those wars. Lose yourself in one of the best multiplayer strategy games ever published. That's according to them, but it is true. I have heard great things about Successors. Anyway, take part in the conflict between titular Diadochi successors to the legacy and empire of Alexander the Great. Clash with your former brothers in arms turned enemies to gain control of provinces in order to increase the number of your victory points, or pull appropriate strings to secure the legitimacy points by providing Alexander's tomb with a suitable resting place. But beware, too many victory points with respect to other players, and you end up having an esteem of a usurper who can be attacked freely by everyone. Therefore, choose your strategy wisely. It is sometimes more profitable to hold your horses, for every aspect of the game is intertwined with another, and the sudden turn of events may surprise you with the most unfortunate outcome. For instance, you might be forced to take sides with someone who stabbed you in the back just a couple of rounds earlier. However, as they must have said even in 4th century BC, the end justifies the means, especially when succession is at stake. The 4th edition of this card-driven point-to-point movement strategy game is having a plethora of upgrades which make it stand out among similarly themed games. It also pays homage to its past editions released by Decision Games, Avalon Hill, and GMT Games, respectively. A new improved layout of the board, charts, and cards, a rewritten, and updated rulebook to fix the inadequacies of previous editions, and an introduction to historical scenarios which streamline the gameplay and shorten game sessions, and more. The icing on the cake is its graphic design, a state-of-the-art map based on original art by Mark Simonich. Over 60 outstanding illustrations, inspired by historical sources, and 12 large 40mm plastic liter miniatures. All of these make the game pleasurable to watch, and even more pleasurable to play. So prepare your armies to buckle down, sharpen your blade of your tactical sixth sense, and whet your appetite for claiming your right to Alexander's throne. For heaven cannot brook 2 sons, nor earth 2 masters. There can only be one true successor. Phalanx has a video. It's a pretty quick video for their Kickstarter, so let's kick back and take a peek.
Alexander the Great is on his deathbed. He is not appointed an heir. Only one question remains: to whom the empire? The greatest empire on earth. To the strongest are his last words as the royal ring falls to the floor and the war for his throne begins. Successors, award-winning ancient backstabbing game for 2 to 5 Diadochi, one of the world's top 20 multiplayer war games, breaking friendships for over 20 years. Support it now on Kickstarter.
Successors is for 2 to 5 players, ages 14 and up, and plays in around 90 minutes. The project is over 450% funded as of earlier today, and you can reserve a copy of the game as well as all stretch goals and the special Kickstarter exclusive expansion for an $80 pledge. Pretty sweet. This expected delivery, I want to say, is October of next year. So very, very nicely done. I have to say, I've never played Successors. I find it funny that the video actually talks about how it's been destroying friendships for decades. I don't know about that. I know a lot of people talk about diplomacy as being a friendship wrecker. I never had that problem, and I've played a lot of diplomacy. And normally with diplomacy, there's some fiddly bits to it. So as long as all the players kind of agree on some of the rules that are a little up in the air, you're fine. Doesn't matter. I mean, you know, the game is about making promises and breaking promises. As long as you know that's going to happen, you should be okay. And that's the case with Successors as well. My final news piece, let's talk a little bit about role-playing games, because there are 2 new supplements for Legend of the Five Rings. They've arrived in PDF from Fantasy Flight Games, and I've got the dope. First off, we have the Courts of Stone Sourcebook. Spin your webs of intrigue and betrayal with Courts of Stone, the second sourcebook for the Legend of the Five Rings role-playing game. This 144-page setting guide takes you inside the mighty castles and courts that act as the political centers of Rokugan. Here, courtiers scheme to destroy their enemies. Treachery lies behind every false smile, and spies and assassins lurk in every shadow. Courts of Stone details the treacherous battlefields of words and intentions, as well as the courtiers who plot the course of the Emerald Empire and their shinobi agents. Along with Game Master's support for running adventures based around politics, romance, and intrigue, you'll also find a wealth of information about the Masters of the Courts, the Crane Clan. Do you have the cunning to survive the courts of Rokugan? I doubt that I do. No. Then there's Winter's Embrace. Navigate the treacherous intrigues of the Winter Court in the Winter's Embrace adventure for the Legend of the Five Rings role-playing game. Being invited to the Emperor's Winter Court is daunting enough, but an invitation to tea with the legendary member of the Crane Clan thrusts you into the thick of a devious scheme. Your group is tasked with uncovering the truth behind how a dangerous band of scoundrels, like me, from the Mantis Clan, secured a coveted invitation to the event, and more importantly, what plots do they hope to accomplish while they are here? Winter's Embrace takes your team to the beautiful grounds of Hyoji Doji, where you are introduced to the hazards of court politics. As plots begin to unravel around you and you move closer to the truth. It's weird. They have in the sell sheet info, you become closer to the truth. You become closer? You come closer to the truth. You will find that a whispered word can kill as surely as a sword. Can you survive the poisonous rumors and shadow politics of the Winter Courts? Once again, I don't think so. I doubt it. This product does also include PDFs of the poster map and punchboard tokens, which are included with the physical version. You can score the 144-page Courts of Stone for $19.95, while the 32-page Winter's Embrace is $9.95. Both are available right now at DriveThruRPG. And of course, talking about DriveThruRPG, the Gaming Gang, and thus the Daily Dope are affiliates of the One Bookshelf sites. So if you are going to swing over to, say, DriveThruRPG or maybe even Wargame Vault, be sure to visit thegaminggang.com first. Check out our banners. Wargame Vault's down below. DriveThruRPG's up top. If you click on one of those banners and if you make a purchase, I get a small portion of that sale. And all those little pieces add up and really do help keep the Gaming Gang around. All right, so there we have it. That is the news for tonight. Pretty interesting stuff. I gotta say that Black Angel just strikes me as being pretty interesting. Of course, with my luck, of course, I know I'm not gonna see a review copy of it because it's Asmodee. It's coming through Asmodee, and it's like pulling teeth trying to get something from Asmodee. But with my luck, I would play it and it would turn out to be like super, super like Euro-ish, where it's all just like a puzzle kind of game, and I'd be like, so anyway, all right. What's cooking? So what we got cooking on the show rest of this week and into next. So tomorrow, I love to look at RPGs on Thursdays. I am going to be taking a first look and paging through both the City of Mist Player's Guide as well as the City of Mist Master of Ceremonies Toolkit. These are both through Modifius Entertainment. I've heard really good things about City of Mist. It's kind of a noirish superhero game from what I understand, but it's supposed to be very, very unique. And it's I think it's a little powered by the apocalypse too, which I happen to dig as well. Then on Friday's show, I will be reviewing Imhotep the Duel. Yes, the 2-player edition of Imhotep from Cosmos Games. This was one of their Gen Con releases. So I just did a review for Roll for Adventure last week on last Friday's show. Really, really enjoyed it. So if you're into kind of family strategy games, tune in on Friday to check it out. Then on Monday's show, I will be reviewing Valparaiso from Stronghold Games. Yep, this was an Origins game release. That's on Monday's show. Tuesday, I am going to actually show you how to play and review Walking in Brano from AEG. This was a Gen Con release. This is a family game. Pretty quick role-playing game as well. Then on next War Game Wednesday, we've got more GMT goodness because we have Death Valley Battles for the Shenandoah from GMT. Of course, this includes a bunch of battles for the American Civil War, and of course, it's like Stonewall and Sheridan. So pretty cool stuff there. So that's what's cooking into next week on the Daily Dope. Also want to point out that earlier today, I shot some standalone videos too. So I'm going to put these up. I think I'll put the King in Yellow video up tonight. I did a page through first look at this. This is the annotated edition from Arc Dream Publishing. It's not a role-playing game book. It's not a gaming book at all. But if anybody's familiar with Robert W. Chambers' The King in Yellow, this is an excellent edition. Really, really nicely done. Ken Hite does the annotations for it as well. There's some spectacular art. Sammy did a review on the Gaming Gang already, and she gave it a lofty 10 out of 10. That is a rarefied score, that is for sure. So if you want to see close up, I will have this up later on tonight. And then I also took a first look and paged through RuneQuest Role-Playing in Glorantha. This is the latest edition of RuneQuest from Chaosium Inc. So I paged through this. I point out that I am not overly familiar with this brand new edition. I believe it's kind of based on second edition RuneQuest. And I had RuneQuest way back in the day. It was the second role-playing game I ever purchased. And it blew my mind in a lot of ways. Because I had Advanced Dungeons & Dragons and I picked up RuneQuest and I was like, whoa, what's this percentile dice-based skill system here? What is this? So I do page through it. I talk a little bit about what I remember from the previous edition. So I'm just, rambling on as I usually do. So that video will be up tomorrow. I think I'll probably pop that up into on YouTube in the morning. So anywho, let's talk a little bit about the contest I still have going on. We have reached the threshold to do one of the giveaways. So that is the special PDF prize pack of Pathfinder 2nd Edition. It's going to include the core rulebook, the bestiary, as well as the Fall of Plaguestone, which is a standalone adventure in PDF, because we have gone past the 65 new subscribers beyond 1,600. We're on our way to the next 65. I don't know if we're going to get there by September 5th. Keep my fingers crossed, because I would like to give away more than one copy of this prize pack. And it's pretty easy to get into the running for it. All you got to do is be a subscriber to the Gaming Gang channel. That's it. Easy peasy. It doesn't matter where you live because it's PDFs. I'm going to send them to you digitally. So we've got that contest. And then we also have the contest that's going on Twitter. Getting pretty close to the 5,100 followers on Twitter. I think 5,012, something like that. So I think we're actually going to get to this. So this contest is a little trickier. So you have to be a follower on Twitter, and you have to, you got to be a fan of Everdell from Starling Games, because it'd be silly for me to actually send this stuff out to somebody who doesn't have Everdell or has absolutely no interest in playing it, because I've got both the Wooden Evertree for Everdell, as well as the Pearlbrook expansion for Everdell. Yes, and it's even the collector's edition. So I am going to give both of these out to one lucky winner. You do have to live in the US or Canada, because I'm on the hook for the shipping here. But all you have to do is take a peek at my Twitter feed. Every day I retweet the contest for Everdell. All you need to do is retweet that tweet, saying what it is about Everdell that you really, really enjoy, and you're in the running. Easy peasy. Like I said, I'm pretty sure we're going to be able to award this because I'm only 80 some followers away. And this contest actually runs through the 8th of September. So, and I will announce the winner on the 9th of September if that is the case. So Xcelera X1 says, yeah, my tree sort of got damaged. You know what? That was the one ding that I had on Everdell, was the Evertree. Because you could either assemble it and leave it assembled someplace, or you could take it apart every time you played. And there were pros and cons to both of those. One, if you left it set up and it got knocked over, it could break pretty easy because the cardboard is like kind of a stiff cardboard. But if it like gets bent, it doesn't just get bent where you can bend it back, it'll snap. So that actually happened with my Evertree as well. Then again, if you took it apart every time you played and put it back together, I know damn well that the paper on it, which actually has all the art and stuff like that of the tree, would start peeling off. I guarantee it. So I'm very, very pleased with my wooden copy of the Evertree. It's really, really nice. I believe it's only available in some pretty limited numbers. So if anybody's interested, by all means, check out the Sterling Games website. For some reason, I want to say it's $20. Maybe I'm wrong. I have no idea. Thought it's 20. All right, one last thing before we jump into the unboxing and first look at ancient civilizations of the Inner Sea. As I like to always point out, the Gaming Gang and thus the Daily Dope are pretty much not-for-profit endeavors here. So if you like the site, if you like the show, if you like the channel, please consider making a small donation to Lil Bub's Big Fund and the American Society for the Prevention of Cruelty to Animals. Lil Bub's Big Fund provides grant monies to special needs animals around the United States who are awaiting adoption. Yes, they're waiting to find their forever homes. These animals might be a bit long in the tooth like yours truly, or they could have mobility issues. Maybe they're blind or deaf, require medications every day. Regardless, these animals still deserve to find loving homes. And I can tell you, as someone who's adopted plenty of sheltered pets, they will repay that love tenfold that you give them. It's unbelievable. So, as I like to say, if you like the show, if you like the site, if you like the channel, consider making a small donation. And if you do, shoot me an email. My email address is right down there in the corner. Jeff McAleer at thegaminggang.com. Let me know, and I'll be more than happy to give you a shout out on the following show if you would like. Also, do want to point out, if there's ever something you got a question about, or maybe there's a company you'd really like to see me start covering, shoot me an email. It's okay. It's no big deal. So, anyway, let me grab a quick sip, and then we will actually get down to brass tacks. Because I know plenty of people will be tuning in because they want to check out Ancient Civilizations of the Inner Sea from GMT Games. It's designed by Christopher Vorder-Brugge, taking a guess on that, and Mark McLaughlin, with artwork provided by Chechu Nieto and Blackwell Hurd. Chechu Nieto is doing a lot of stuff for GMT lately, I believe. This game is for 1 to 6 players, ages 14 and up, plays in about 2 hours or more, and it does carry an MSRP of $85. It is available right now. As with all GMT releases, if this is something that kind of strikes your fancy, get it while the getting's good, because there are not huge print runs for GMT games. Let's move on over to the camera over here, because I've got this all set up. As I mentioned, I am really looking forward to checking this out because I am a big fan of ancient history. I can't say that I am all-knowing as far as ancient history, but I have listened to quite a few audiobooks. I've listened to some interesting like teaching company lecture series and things like that. So I'm really, really pumped to take a look at this. Plus, this is supposed to be low complexity. It's for up to 6 players, which you don't see up to 6 players in a lot of GMT games. So that's unusual as well. So we're We're going to take a quick peek over here. Read a little bit of the text on the back. It says, conquer the world, carve out an empire, or build an enduring civilization to stand against the barbarian darkness. Ancient Civilizations of the Inner Sea is an exciting, fun, easy to learn, easy to play, but challenging to master. I hate when they use that term. Abstract game in which players guide the renowned and legendary civilizations that surged and receded around the shores of the Mediterranean, which the Romans aptly called the Mare Internum, or Inner Sea. Peace or war, or a bit of both. Yeah, let's do a little bit of both. Compete peacefully to build the best, biggest, and brightest civilization, or go to war to become the dominant power of the ancient world, or do a bit of both. There are many ways to play and win Ancient Civilizations of the Inner Sea. Not every game has to be a war game, but for those who want a war game, Ancient Civilizations of the Inner Sea delivers. Cool deal. Very, very nice. So we can see it's low complexity. It's set as a complexity 3, and it's got a solitaire suitability of 9. Very nice. Always love when we get really solid solitaire rules for the GMT titles. So let's get this shrink wrap off of here and jump on in. So, and I apologize, I just bumped the mic, so hopefully that wasn't just some big loud boom. So, yeah, I've kind of been working on the sound for the show. I don't know. And I have a really good mic. I'm just not real good at like audio productions. All right, come on, Box, you can do it. Come on. Jeez. Wow. There we go. Holy cow. And as we can see, this is jam-packed to the gills. Uh-oh. It says, due to a miscommunication during production, the brown discs noted in the rulebook are actually light blue. What? How dare they? Just kidding. When you see brown discs or read about brown discs, think light blue instead. Apologies. Tony Curtis. Good deal. All right. So we got the rule book. So let's jump on in and take a look at the rule book. I am going to zoom in just a touch so we can take a quick peek at this. Let's zoom back out just a hair. There we go. As we can see, not a lot of rules here. 24 pages. So, jumping on in. So we're going to see a game overview. So it says, in ACIS, players will command one of the major powers at the time. Rome, Carthage, Celt, Iberia, Gaul, Messinine, Troy, Phoenicia, Minos, or Egypt, and Mauritania. I skipped over Mauritania. Sorry about that. Talking about the game overview, important game terms. Talking about the game components. The cards. Yes, I believe this is card driven, so looking forward to that as well. Talking about the basic 2-player setup. This is one thing that I'm always curious about as far as games that'll come out, like for an example, this is for 1 to 6 players. I'm always concerned, how well will it play with 2 or say 3? How does it scale? How well does the game scale? So that's something that I will definitely be looking out for. Then we got the 3-player setup, 4-player setup. I don't know. Next page, what do you think? 5-player? There we go. And the 6-player setup. So if you think about it, look at how many pages are taken by just the setup. So not a whole lot of rules, I guess. So there we go. We've got that. Let's talk about stacking. Talking about a growth phase. Talking about the card phase. So we've got event cards. We also have fate cards, which are negation cards, investment cards. You can build wonders. Always love that. Always love that aspect of civilization building games when you can make the different wonders, build all the different wonders. So I play a lot of Through the Ages on PC when I got a little downtime. So we've got a competition phase, reckoning phase. That's pretty wild. It's it's the reckoning phase. And then we've got the end of epoch phase. And then we've got a bit of a play aid on the back. We've got diplomacy, optional rules, end game. Talking about the inventory, what should be in here, and then we've got the credits as well. So, pretty sweet. Nicely done. Okay, so that is the rule book. Let's take a look at what I always love, the playbook. And as we can see, the playbook's actually quite a bit thicker than the rule book. 60 pages to the playbook. What I always love about GMT playbooks is, for the most part, normally, they will actually feature a lot of historical background about the game design itself, as well as designer notes. Sometimes there's strategy tips. There's almost always a really detailed example of play. So here we've got an introduction talking about the scenario default setups, playing scenarios, multiplayer civilizations. So players new to the game are urged to select a scenario where each player only controls a single civilization. Aha. Those with some experience may consider controlling 2 or more. 1 versus 2, talking about team play. Oh, there's a lot of different aspects to this. Historical situation scenarios. So we got the Punic Wars, Caesar versus Pompey, Antony and Cleopatra. Sandbox situation scenarios. We got the Fall of Rome, a multiplayer historical scenario. That includes all the different special rules that might be included. Got Hannibal. There we go. Oh, I was going to mention, and I forgot to mention when I was talking about that Phalanx news piece for successors. They talk about the 40 millimeter high generals miniatures. I guarantee you they are very similar to the Phalanx edition of Hannibal and Hamilcar. So I bet you it's the same size. And those are actually very, very cool. So here we've got solitaire play. So looks like then we've got the Fall of Rome 2. Oh, this is a solitaire historical scenario. The Visigoth displacement example. Europe at the fall of the Western Roman Empire in 476 AD. You got Greeks and Persians. This is another historical scenario that's solitaire. Alexander the Great. Wow, there's a lot of solitaire scenarios here. This is cool. Liking this. Darius III. Also another solitaire scenario. God King of Egypt. Guess what? What do you think? It's solitaire as well. Wow. Okay, then we're talking about different challenge levels. Here's our example of play. There we go. Nice. The reckoning phase. I find that funny. I don't know why it's kind of tickling my funny bone. The reckoning phase. It's going to be a reckoning. Crafting scenarios. Wow, that's interesting. Creation of civilizations. And we got some clarifications for some of the cards. Surprisingly enough, we don't have any designer notes. Huh. That's interesting. Usually we've got some designer notes. All right, so that is the playbook. What I normally will do with a GMT title that comes with a playbook, and a vast majority of them do come with a playbook, is I always read the playbook first. As Dan from No Enemies Here has popped in. Running a little late. Oh, that's okay, Dan. Sorry you missed the news. Jumping in just in time to catch, hopefully, most of the unboxing for Ancient Civilizations of the Inner Sea. And once again, gotta thank Dan for including my video on what's going on the Daily Dope. So I will definitely shoot a video tomorrow morning and get that out to you as well for next Saturday. So anyway, so there's the playbook. Let's see what else we've got in here. We've got some stickers. Looks like these are stickers for the Wonders. So we've got the Grand Gardens, Great Pyramid, Mausoleum, Great Library, Stairway to God, the Great Lighthouse. It looks like we've got some civilization displays. And we might as well zoom in just a touch. There we go. So we've got Carthage. Oh, just single-sided. So we've got Carthage. We've got the Celt Iberia civilization. Egypt. Gaul. Mauritania, Minos, Mycenae, Phoenicia, and Rome, as well as Troy. Funny, that's weird. I don't remember seeing Troy. Did I say Troy when I was reading stuff off the box? That's weird. I don't know. For some reason, I wasn't thinking Troy. So, Flaming Huron's popped in, too. Good to see you, Flaming Huron. So, we've got the civilization displays. We got 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. There you go. So, we've got the 10 civilizations. Then we have the player aids. So, I'm going to take a guess. We're going to have 6 of these. We do. So we've got 6 player aids for each of the up to 6 players. So we show it's the growth phase, card phase, competition phase, and then reckoning phase. Then on the back, we've got change of epoch table. So card ID is going to tell us what happens as we continue through history. So, as an example, we've got traditionalists resist change. We've got current debasement. Jeez. Hey, vibrant economies. The gods smile. And we also have barbarians at the gates. Yowza. So, we've got 6 of those. Then we got a solitaire player aid. Pretty cool. So, showing non-player character enemies. Kind of funny, non-player character. Well, NPCs. I guess this represents non-player civilizations. Jeez. See, that's what happens when you've got decades of role-playing game experience. You see NPC, first thing you think is non-player character. So, competition, gold, talking about barbarians. Oh, so we've got displacement priorities. Oh, so it looks like maybe playing solitaire might be a little more mental heavy lifting than just playing against other players. So there we have that. We've also got a big board, which we will zoom out to take a look at this last. We've got some decks of cards. We've got these discs, and we've got discs and cubes. And we've got some cylinders. Of course, remember, brown discs are actually light blue discs. Got a bunch of these. So I'm going to take a guess these cubes are probably what we're supposed to put stickers for the Wonders on. So there's only a few of the Wonders. Then we've got all these discs, which are going to represent the different civilizations. We got all of those. Then we've got a couple of decks of cards, which I'm going to take a stab. There might be actually more than just the 2 decks, because I see there's a Wonder deck, but there aren't a ton of Wonders. So, but then again, we could have a bunch of cards in this are also the Fate deck. So let's see. Let's see what we've got. We got Wonders. There we go. And Fate deck. All right. So, see, that was a good guess. That was a pretty good guess I had there. So I was going to say, because this is a kind of a card-driven game, And you're going to have up to 6 players in it, so I thought, we probably have quite a few Fate cards. Let's kind of take a look to see what we've got. And it looks like they're kind of color-coded for different things, too. So, got Master Spy, Pirate Raids, Radical Ideologies, Merchant King. I'm a great person. Yes, I am. Volcanic Ash Cloud. Wow, that's cool. Captain. What a great person. Time marches on. So this is one of the... we saw it in the rules. We've got the Fate cards, and then we've got these other cards that are kind of sideways. But they come in the Fate deck. Event cards. I think these are event cards. If I remember correctly, is what it said. A trading house, bumper crop, prophet, another great person. False prophet. Can't have a prophet without a false prophet. Gods demand sacrifice. Sign from above. Now it looks like these might be weapons or technology with a yellow background. Maybe. We got chariots, composite bow, armored infantry, unreliable mercenaries. Okay. War machines, ramming speed, and triremes. And then we go back to, we've got a navigator, hippodrome, Appian Way, obsidian quarry, iron mine. So I noticed these these have like a C on it, marking these cards. Gold mine, Silk Road open, sea route to Britain, Sub-Saharan salt route. Got blockade, siege, command of the seas, barbarian trade, siege engines, Caravanserai, Academy of Science, bread and circuses. Okay. So Dan from No Enemies here says GMT are expanding their horizons. Yeah, GMT's always had some games that were, like, for an example, like Thunder Alley. Thunder Alley isn't really a game you would expect GMT to publish. It's an excellent racing game, I'll tell you that much. Jeff Horger and his wife Carla did a fantastic job with that game. But yeah, it's nice to see some stuff coming out that's not real heavy grognard, or grognard, as some people like to call it. Really heavy war game fare. So, because games like this looks like this is something where, granted, it's not going to be a gateway game into getting somebody into wargaming or conflict simulations, but this is probably a game that you could get someone who's very interested in, like, say, Civilization or Through the Ages to climb on board for. Okay, so we've got the event cards. We've got the Sea Peoples Invade, which I find really interesting, the Sea Peoples that nobody knows who they were. They're like, nobody knows where they came from, who they were made up of. I believe a lot of historians believe that the Sea Peoples were just like a lot of different cultures who some of them had banded together and others just happened to be kind of invading at the same time. So we got the Mesopotamian Empire, Northern Hordes, Southern Raiders, Atlantis Rises. Okay, that's kind of wild. And the Breath of God. I wonder if these are optional. I wonder if these are like optional cards here, because Atlantis Rises is kind of kind of historical. Because I don't think Atlantis actually existed. So Dan says he loves Thunder Alley. Yeah, Thunder Alley is good. It's a good game. Earthquake, volcanic eruption, local famine, local plague, storm at sea. One thing I like is that so far, every single one of these cards is unique. We have not seen any duplicates. Of course, I say that and watch, we get a bunch of duplicates, but I doubt it because we've gone through so many of these cards already without seeing the dupes. So Strategos, Land Improvement, Assassin, great person, Spy, great person, Nepotism, Pirates, Refugees, Heresy, religious fervor, bribery, local trade, orator. Golden age. We've entered the golden age. Bad omens. I hate when that happens. Superstition strikes. Massive earthquakes. We had earthquake, now we get massive earthquake. Massive volcanoes. Crop failure. Widespread plague. Heroic saga. Metalforge armor. Improved plow. Sands of time. Traitor, another great person. Corruption. Pirate haven. Captive queen. Huh. Interesting, I should say. That's another great person. Schism. Crusade. Trade fleet. Lawgiver. Poet. The Oracle at Delphi. Civil disorder. Millennial earthquakes. Jeez. Uh-oh. Is this next one going to be a plague again, too? Oh, millennial volcanoes. Biblical flood. Wow. Jeez. Black Death. Well, I figured we had to run across the Black Death at some point in time. Hello and Winds. Traitor. Coinage. Demagogue. Blasphemy. Hey, there's the Sea Peoples who invaded. The High Priestess. Sacrificial Altar. Philosopher King. Golden Fleeced. Pontifex and Civil War. Although, there's a little ding in this card. Rats. There's a little ding on the last card. No. I wonder if you can actually kind of see it. I'll see if I can get... Yeah, when I kind of get a little glare towards the card. Yeah, bummer. Well, that's okay, because I sleeve my cards anyway with my GMT games. So there's the Fate deck. We also have the Wonder deck. So, let's put all of this stuff together here. But first, I wanted to zoom out at probably about as far as I can get so we can take a look at the board. So, it goes without saying, I always mention this when I'm opening up a mounted board from GMT that's in plastic. Be careful taking the board out of the plastic. It's easy to get it to catch, and then it tears the paper away from the mounted board, and that sucks. I've had it. Just like, you also got to be careful when you're putting it together that you don't just pick up the board. Well, at least this is divided into two halves, so that's cool. So we've got this first half here. So we've got like an epoch tracker, turn tracker, civilization turn order. So here we have the Western, I should say, yeah, it is the Western Mediterranean. So here's this. So let's open the other half of it. Oh, that's a pretty good sized board. All right, so there we go. We've got this half as well. So good sized board here. Very cool. So we've got a victory point track. It does show where each of the civilizations will begin, or where they're effectively let's say they're like home area. So we can even see that the color is a little lighter than the surrounding areas as well. Nice. I like this board. This is cool. Very cool. Very nicely done. All right. So we've got the two halves. And I appreciate that this board is like broken in half as opposed to just being one huge board, which sometimes you'll see. And you'll sit there and you take the board out. And this is one of the other things I was saying, be careful about, is sometimes it'll like kind of tear. So I've learned to be very, very careful with my mounted boards. So, and John Vogel says, my wife and I are drivers in the game. She has car 54. Yeah, I'm serious. Thunder Alley is a very cool game. Now, supposedly, I know I'm kind of going off topic here. There is his their racing game, the Horgers racing game that's supposed, or maybe it's not even a racing game, but it's supposed to be like post-apocalyptic, so it's kind of Car Wars-ish. That's been on P500. I don't know how close it is to actually being produced or not, but I'm always interested in that kind of stuff. I loved me some Car Wars way back in the day. That's why I'm hoping, and I don't know, I haven't heard anything back. I'm hoping that Osprey sends me the new edition for Gaslands that's supposed to be coming out. Gaslands Refueled. I did reach out and touch base with my PR contact there, but I haven't heard anything back, so I don't know. I don't know what's going on lately. There are a lot of companies, their PR people just are very, very difficult to like track down to do stuff. I don't know what it is. Just like at Gen Con, I know this is kind of inside baseball, but at Gen Con there were like a lot of PR people who had moved on. So it's getting to the point where you see a lot of these board game companies that their PR person's there like 6 months, and then they move on someplace else, and it's sort of like can't keep track of all these people jumping around. That's why Tony Curtis over at GMT has been with GMT for a good amount of time. I don't think Tony's going anywhere. But yeah, it's just kind of weird. So I'll have companies that are like, oh yeah, love what I'm doing. They send me a review copy. They dig the review or whatever coverage I put together. And then I reach out and that person's gone. They don't work there anymore. So very strange. Anywho, so we've got the 2 decks of cards. We've got all of these different discs and blocks and cylinders. We've got the different civilization displays. We have the 6 player aid cards, as well as the solitaire player aid. We've got the big board. And then we have some stickers that are going on those blocks, I can just about guarantee. We've got a playbook and the rule book, as well as the little note saying, hey, those brown discs are actually going to be light blue, okay? And that's what we find when we take everything from Ancient Civilizations of the Inner Sea outside the box. I'm hoping to get this to the table, at least even to just play it solitaire, relatively soon. So I would think that we should have kind of a turnaround on the review. Well, I don't want to say fairly quickly, but hopefully within the next maybe 2-3 weeks. Fingers crossed. I do actually have a review of the last 100 yards coming. I think I'm going to do that week after next, because we're going to take a look at Death Valley from GMT next week. All right. So, as I like to always point out when I talk about GMT Games, if you're interested in any way in Ancient Civilizations of the Inner Sea, don't sit on your hands, because these things sell out really quickly, and you don't want to have to pay top dollar on the secondary market to get your hands on a game that you could have scored earlier. This is available now. It does carry an MSRP of $85. So that's it for tonight's show. As I mentioned, tomorrow's show, I am going to be paging through both the Player's Guide for City of Mist, as well as the Game Master's Toolkit for City of Mist. Really looking forward to checking these out. Plus, I would also like to make sure to remind those of you who enjoy role-playing games, I will have my RuneQuest video up tomorrow, and I will have my page through of the annotated edition of The King in Yellow a little later on tonight. So Bone says, I'd like to see you do a solo run on this. See what we can do. See what we can do. I usually do a how to play, so at least we'll get a how to play on this. A solo run, I don't know. It's 2 hours in front of the camera talking. I'm lucky I could pull off a little over an hour with the shows. So, of course, don't forget, visit thegaminggang.com for all the latest in gaming news, reviews, comics, movies, TV. By now you know the drill. get your geek on at thegaminggang.com. Of course, if you like the video, please give it a quick thumbs up. And of course, if you check out some of the videos on the Gaming Gang channel, and you're not a subscriber, by all means, please subscribe. So, those of you who popped into chat, thank you so much for hanging out with me. I always appreciate people keeping me company. Otherwise, I'm just talking into the ether, doing nothing. You're like, doesn't anybody watch? Nobody likes me. So, always love to see people hanging out in chat. And, of course, regardless of if you watch live or after the fact, I really appreciate everyone who checks out the videos on the Gaming Gang channel. So, I'll be back tomorrow. So, everybody enjoy the rest of your Wednesday night. And, of course, until tomorrow, happy trails. Thanks again for watching The Daily Dope, presented by The Gaming Gang. If you like this episode, be sure to give it a quick thumbs up. And if you dig the channel, please subscribe. If you'd like to check out our previous episode, click right here. And if you want to check out a somewhat randomly selected episode, give a click right down here. It'll be like opening a box of Cracker Jacks. You just don't know what you'll get. Once again, thanks for watching, and I'm Jeff McAleer.